Hello, David. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Can you explain to everyone what your role is at Mindshare Entertainment?
So I'm Chief Content Officer of Mindshare for North America and President of Mindshare Entertainment. And basically we are a creative production group sitting inside a media agency. We do everything from content strategy through creation to optimization.
Now, the role of a Chief Content Officer is fairly new for Mindshare, correct?
Yeah. I've been here since 2005. Since 2005, we've built up an entertainment capability.
Right.
We've done, I'm going to guess around 250 projects to date. And this past year, in becoming Chief Content Officer, what we've done additionally is build out a content marketing capability. A phrase I don't necessarily like, one of the most overused phrases next to native advertising, which I'm sure we'll get into. But it's basically building out the idea of, we had a content strategy group, right? And in the beginning, being head of an entertainment group was synonymous with being head of content. But with content marketing, what happened was that it became a subset of content marketing. Because there's native, there's how-to, there's curation, there's creation, and there's entertainment. So all of a sudden, even though I personally was doing the bigger job, you're a subset of. So they wanted to give me that title to make a statement, number one, but also number two, build out a content marketing capability, which we've done.
So now it is marketing through content, not the marketing of content, correct?
Okay, what's the difference in your mind?
Well, why don't you tell us, from working with some of your tentpole programming, like you just announced, Rise of Superman, how does that fit into this whole mix?
So we're content creators, right, within Mindshare, and that content takes a lot of forms. We do 30-second commercials, and we do television shows.
And these are all for your advertisers, all for your clients?
Yeah, all for our clients. So it runs the gamut, right, from short form to long form, to stuff that we create and ideas we come up with, to overseeing and working with media owners and networks in creating integrations for clients, digital content for clients that sometimes is our idea, sometimes is not. So, when we say we're content creators, we actually create the content. We're the doers because of my background. So it's a wide range of content that Mindshare Content, Mindshare Entertainment creates.
Now, do you find that there are opportunities to be proactive when coming to the brand? So going back to the recent announcement of Rise of Superman, and in the past you guys have In the Motherhood, that's an opportunity where you found a really good piece of content and then brought it to the brands instead of waiting for the brands to say, we have these certain objectives we need to hit. Can you make us something?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's two sides of the coin. There's proactive and reactive. And I fully believe that it's important to be proactive. So Rise of Superman and In the Motherhood are just two examples of programs that we looked at the marketplace, we saw an opening. So In the Motherhood, back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, 2007, 8, and 9, we saw that moms were looking for this type of content. Most people at that time actually disagreed with us. They said, moms are too busy, they just want utility, they're not going to go for entertainment. We said, no.
Quite the opposite.
It's quite the opposite. But because no one had ever done it before, there was no tangible data that said they're craving it. But when we looked at the data, we were like, oh my God, they are actually looking for it. It's just not there. So we came up with really a platform. If you think about In the Motherhood back then, it was a content series, there was gaming, there was music, there was community, there was interactivity, there was sweepstakes, there were sponsorships. Like, we built a platform before Facebook was big for moms, before Twitter existed, before iPads came out. And it was the first ever web series to go to broadcast TV. But that was a completely proactive. I went on a roadshow for 8 months selling it in.
You were out there talking it up a ton. And you found that that's a way to build that interest in it and excitement around it. How are things changed since then? So how is Rise of Superman going to roll out differently than In the Motherhood did?
So Rise of Superman...
Besides being different audiences.
Totally different audiences. A best-selling book on the New York Times in two different categories, sports and science. I was given the book before it came out, and I loved it. And I love the idea. And it's just all about the balance and the combination of physiology, performance, biology, mental state of mind. You know, like how do we become more productive as people? And you know, in the 1990s, I'm a big basketball fan. So when Michael Jordan was in the zone, you know, he's unconscious. Like how do athletes get there, and how do they stay there? And through 15 years of research, this author, Stephen Kotler, actually determined, and they renamed In the Zone flow, that athletes and performers can actually, it changes, your brain waves change. Like it is a physiological difference.
It quiets down, doesn't it?
It quiets down, and
yeah,
and all these different things. So what if we as a species, as people, could do that more often? You'd be more productive, not just in sports, right? In business, in arts, in music, in performing, in athletics. So I was fascinated by that. So we optioned the book and had conversations, and creatively we were on the same page as Stephen and Dirk Collins from the production company One Eyed Bird. And so, you know, we struck a deal, and now we're, you know, very close to closing a deal with a primetime cable network for either a primetime documentary or a limited run series. Our clients right now have nothing to do with it. Our clients will get first opportunity to be involved as a sponsor, as integrated, and things like that.
Now they don't have they're not involved with it right now because you're focused on making a great creative product first.
Right, and based on, you know, my background, I was a television EP for Lorne Michaels at Broadway Video. I can call the programming side of networks and have the legitimacy or credibility to say, we have an idea, forget the advertising dollars. This is not advertiser driven. We are not leveraging their money. We are leveraging our creative and this idea. Do you like it? From the programming side. And that's how we're selling this in.
Right, and that's going to give you the distribution.
Yeah.
That's going to give you the scale. If you were to roll it out digitally first, because you're not rolling this out digitally then first.
No, it's going to be television first, but we have a whole strategy behind the digital execution, TV as well as a film festival film. So it's across multiple platforms. All the different types of content based on the platforms are different because, as we all know, consumer behavior is different. When advertisers come on board, it will be customized for them, so it's relevant for their brand as well as the book. And you know what the creative idea is.
Right.
So it's one of those things where, you know, we have a different strategy for the different platforms, but it'll be a multi-platform campaign, all sequenced together to the benefit of brands and consumers to really engage with a fascinating idea.
So do you see this as a traditional TV property that then's coming to digital and looking for and bringing that to brands, or is this a digitally influenced concept that's going to TV that has an extensive digital footprint?
I think it's actually a combination. You know, I try not to put things in boxes in the sense of we're going to do TV and then we're going to do this and then we're going to do this, because the world is, you know, a bunch of niches and gray matter, right? So it's, if we're going to do TV here and we're going to do digital here and mobile here and experiential as well, how do they all interconnect? How do they all play together? So it's these four elements. It's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 7 or 8. And that's the way we look at it. And that's why it's like being inside a media agency is tremendously powerful, is sitting down with the strategists and the digital people and the comms planners to understand behaviors of audience, what they're doing, where they're doing it, when they're doing it, and how. And then working our creative into these different places so it's relevant.
So this is an amazing experience to be going through and to be bringing out there to market. How does that affect how a brand goes to market with an original concept? When you're pitching a branded video series, what is it about what you're doing here and what you've done in the past affect that process in a positive way?
So what are we doing here that affects that, and how are they different? We're really building a platform for Rise of Superman.
Right. So can a brand build a platform too?
Sure. Why not? Right. We built, In the Motherhood was a platform, and we built it for Suave and Sprint. They sponsored the platform, right? Even though it was our idea. But if you go from, let's say, a basic, you know, RFP that we all get, right? That's campaign based. Okay. Now let's go campaign versus always on. Different, right? So campaign based, it's going to be very specific. Sometimes the metrics are you know, what they're shooting for is specific. Sometimes it's not, but you have to drill down. And so it's much more limited, if you will, right? Because, you know, it's a product launch, here's their flight, here's where they're pushing, you know, their media weight, so here's where we need to be in market, and
then when it's over, who really cares about it at the end in most cases?
Right, and that's, you know, that's a great point, because one of the things, and we're building out a couple more platforms now, because one of the things that I found, I thought was kind of silly, was we build these amazing experiences. We have tons of audience and tons of consumers engaging in this community, and the brand's done, and it's kind of like they turn the lights off, close the door, and walk away.
Yep.
And you're like, there's all these, you know, but it's because their positioning has changed, or the dynamic within their business, or their competitive set has changed, right? So we were like, well, wait, what if we built a platform that was more always on, or continuous, or longer standing? You know, what would that be, and what could that be? And how wonderful would that be for our clients, right? Because, you know, clients are our life and our livelihood, so we always have to remember and keep it in the front of our mind. And I think that's why we've grown every year for 8 years. It's like, how does it benefit them?
Right.
And what value do they get out of it?
Well, we are looking forward to checking back with you about Rise of Superman and staying always on with you. So thank you again, David. Appreciate the time.